Hey, very good morning, everyone. This is Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy with the Nautilus Dry Docks. Glad you're here. This is another week, Dry Docks. I'm going to show you what we managed to get done and all the things that we don't, all of our successes and failures and opportunities and all the other stuff in between. Maybe we should get the week started. So first off, you can see a few things back here. We got the big, like 8-foot Nautilus in there that's going to get boxed up. Glenn is going to be dropping by a couple crates for me this morning in an hour and a half. And that's going to be going out. That Nautilus is going to get finished up hopefully today. I'm going to install the characters, the domes, all of that fun stuff, and then given enough time, we may play with the sound system for it. We're going to see how involved that is. We'll see. Follow along. And then, of course, we're going to be getting to this 48 scale Ballast, and we're going to be focusing on retracting bow planes. We're going to be fabricating those in a 3-part process. So if you're interested in retracting bow planes, this is where you're going to find the info. Okay, so a little update for what we've been doing. Beautiful boat. I got my figures mounted inside. Having a little conversation. I got my windows are all done up. Those are ready for installation. I just got to do a little bit of additional weathering in here, like some streakies and stuff like that. And then this will be done. Greg's going to make a stand for me out of oak, which is going to look super cool. And Jason's been working on a cylinder, not really a refit, I guess like a...
No, he...
Chucky...
Yeah, he got a little overzealous a little bit and broke off the studs because there's only a little bit of meat. He wasn't really sure how tight to crank them down, so he sent it back to me so I can add some more electronics and a different switch and some other things, so... Just tightening it up, making sure everything works, and then got to clean all the crow's nest up and button it all back up, test it, and ship it back to them.
Yeah, and we did a bunch of radio programming too.
And some radio programming and things like that. So,
which, by the way, people, you need to learn to do this stuff yourself. Yes, I'm talking to you, and you know who you are.
You did a video.
The easy button is not one that you want to be pushing. Right? You just ship it to me or Jason or whatever, and we do all the work, and then you come back and you're like, I don't know what they did, but it's working now. You got to understand how these things work, and it takes a little time, and it takes a little dedication, some patience, but you can do it. You can do it! All right, now we got to pack this monstrosity up. This big boy looks pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with that.
It's better than it did.
Little TLC, and this will be a pretty cool boat. I will say, Stacy, by the way, you're going to want to pop these all off and then put them all back on again. Straight. Yeah. Minor stuff. It would literally take 15 minutes to do that. But we got to put that in that and then ship that to Colorado. Well, my Nautilus is coming along really good. Just did some subtle pastel weathering. The idea behind this is to make it like approachable for the average builder. Some of you guys are way better at painting than me, but this is like the quick and dirty way of getting some pretty cool effects. So I just did some pastels. If you want to see how I did it, it's in the Nautilus video, the last chapter there. That tape obviously is coming off. It's just holding all this stuff together while it cures. Yeah, we're doing good. Alright, it is Tuesday today, and we cleared up a bunch of stuff yesterday, so it's shop time today with the exception of having to pack up the S-Class, which we gotta go get after 9:30 in an hour when storage opens, because the keypad's broken. That Nautilus is done. We're waiting on the stand from Greg, but now we're into the cool stuff. Logan is taking point on Virginia 1/72nd scale. It's a nice size, actually. So these are the revised files that I teased you a little while ago with the horizontal split at the waterline. And you'll notice that it's actually kind of sloping up like that because the boat sits kind of like this, like a hot rod in the water. So what Logan's doing right now is he's cutting cloth to reinforce all of the seams so that this is a bulletproof boat. Probably only needs to be done with the base. The upper part is actually pretty solid and really has no stress on it. But that's what he's going to work on there. We're going to have a bulletproof boat. And I, in the meantime, have started work on the bow planes for the Gato. And this is a Gato, even though the customer wanted a Baleo USS Archer fish. This is what we got going on. This is the support bracket I have for the dive planes. And these are the parts that I fabricated. This slips into a little slot. And then we're going to have two plates that cover it and lock it down. And then this linkage horn is going to be what centralizes the shaft once we get that all figured out. These are my new planes. They're going to go in just like that. And then once that is all done, we work on the secondary part, which is our geared little puller upper thingy majiggers. So let's get started. All right, so I have installed my bow planes. You can see they're nice and free moving here. Pin got inserted from this end all the way through there. Like that. Now, we gotta figure out the gear mounting scenario. These arms here need to align with the center of this area here. My thought was to use these swiveling little ball joint majiggers, which may still use. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Something like that. Or a ball socket. Something. It has to swivel. Has to be allowed to swivel. When these things swivel. So let me get to work trying to rig up a mounting block for these gears. All right, Jason has this cylinder all done, and the customer requested a video of it working because he doesn't trust us. So we're gonna
got everything wired up, got our switch, everything's turned on, so we got servo working. Servo working back here.
So rudder and dive planes, right?
Yep. And then torpedo shutters. Throttle.
Yep, nice and smooth.
Forward and back. Gearbox working, everything.
What about the pitch controller? Yep, pitch controller's working.
Now ballast, I just charged it. Super easy, thread it into here. You fill it, make sure you tuck it upside down because you want gas and not air. And then
there we go.
Everything works.
And then that's the air pump going.
And then the air pump works too. Yep, so everything works.
And then let's review the switches for him, what we got going on. So this is rudder. See, rudder. And then forward dive planes.
Yep.
And then
throttle, forward, back,
and then
torpedo shutters is back here,
right,
on off. And then gas ballast is a little slider here, down for down, up for up, just blue again, and I think that's it. Right?
I think that's it. Yeah.
So
and it's, you can see it's wet. It's been in the water. It's been
pressure tested. Everything is good up to what I put it underwater as. Let you know everything works. Pressure tested. Everything's symboled. Good to go. Get it out the shop.
All right. Logan has finished up the reinforcement of the seams, and despite the extra parts in here, that's all going to get trimmed off once it's cured to make it nice and pretty. We're going to let that kick off. This thing should be pretty bulletproof once that's all done, and then we'll get it together and we'll start doing some sanding and getting these ridge lines knocked down a little bit. This is ABS. It sands really nice, so we'll grab some maybe like 100 grit on the palm sander All right, after a little bit of work, this is where we're at. You know, this is all looking good. I got these little ball socket joiner majiggers in here. The concern that I have is that I'm not going to have enough throw. I need to machine this out a little bit so that this gets a better angle. But the problem that I'm seeing here is this is probably going to move. Well, I don't know. Maybe it'll work. Let's jam a chunk of brass in there and see what it does. Right, here's what we got. My worst fears have been realized, which is really not a super huge deal. It works slick though. Like the retract works really, really good. I'm gonna keep that level, nice and smooth. It's just not enough throw by about 1/8 of an inch. So I got to make that arm 1/8 of an inch longer, which means I can just go in the file, cutty, extendy, reprinty, and then that'll be a couple hours and it'll be done. All right, while we're waiting for this to print, be an hour and a half. I underestimated the print time. It's an hour and a half. Pop quiz.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
In a model RC submarine, forward dive planes are primarily used for A, depth control, B, pitch control, or C, mind control. Put your answer down below. Let me see what you know about this. If you've been following my videos, you know the answer. British S-Class. Let's go to Jason up in Washington. We're going to make sure the cylinder's all secure in there. No way that it'll ever come apart or smash or beat anything up inside. Oh yeah. We'll take this battery out. Make sure it's not going to get moved around. Yeah. And then we'll pack it in there with a lot of those. And as easy as that, it's all done. Now we just got to get it to DHL somehow. Okay. There's lots of stuff here. Most of it's just a mess and me being untidy. Cylinder for Virginia, come along really good. Forward section, this is the pump compartment. This is an OTW 3.5 inch module. We got a couple things in here. We installed a remote switch. And that goes right from this is the power, external power. Remote switch. And then the other thing it did, because of the way it is made a custom bracket for a linear actuator. So this is going to be our forward dive planes. And I did that just because it's messy and tight in here. And this just, even though this is a super expensive little linear actuator, it saved me a lot of time. So at the end of the day, it worked out better. And it's cleaner. And it looks super cool, too, by the way. For those of you who don't know, these are bellows seals, by the way. I'm not a big fan of this giant Caterpillar version. There's some more compact ones out there, but this slips up over the little nipple here. I'm doing this all one-handed. Get really good at doing this. There we go. And when you set the endpoint of your bellows, by the way, you want to make sure that when it is centered, that there's a little bit of, compression. So that it moves out, you got some slop, and when it goes in, you've got some slop. So there you go. And then tomorrow, when we pick things up again, we're going to be installing 2 servos back here, our radio gear, pitch controller. Should be a nice clean install back here, I'm thinking. Hoping. And then we'll also get on to the boat, get the filler out, do some filling of the creases, and then do some sanding of the bumpses, and get it looking nice and sharp, super cool. Prime out the inside, make it look real nice, and then we will install the cylinder, because that's what you do. This is about it for today. I did, by the way, print up the actuator for the bow planes for the Gato. This is what we're looking at here right now. I printed two, one of them failed. Whatever, I don't know what happened. But this is perfect now. I extended it by about 1/8 of an inch, and now we get perfect. Let me see if I can hold this steady. Again, this is all one-handed. I need another hand. Yeah, hold still. Bro. Really, really smooth, really cool. There we go, that's better. So now it's perfectly flat and perfectly retracted. I like it. I like it a lot. Just gotta wait for the other one to finish printing and we'll be in good shape. Oh, and then the other thing I did, install the waterproof servo. That's gonna do the actuation niche. This will run up to an arm and it'll just drive one of the gears, which will in turn drive the other gear, and that'll be it. Oh, and before I forget, the answer to our quiz, I almost forgot. The answer, what are typically dive planes, bow planes on an RC submarine used for? The answer is depth control. Typically what you're going to see is the bow planes will pull a boat down to the desired depth, and then the stern planes affect the pitch of the boat in an effort to keep it on an even keel, or to put it into a crash, dive, or emergency surface attitude. So may or may not apply to full-size submarines, but that's typically the way it's done. Stern planes will see a pitch controller module. Forward planes will be like a depth keeper module. So that's the way it works. If you picked the depth keeping, depth minding, congratulations. You get a gold star. Boom. All right, it's Wednesday. Busy in the shop. We're going to spend almost all the time here, but we do need to run to UPS and drop off those boxes that the UPS guy never picked up yesterday. Let's take a look at these. I got my linkages run to the cylinder here. So that's locking in the position there, and then I've got my waterproof servo with adjustability that allows the whole thing to retract, and it's just like super smooth. I'm really stoked about that. So we're gonna leave that be, and basically, man, where are we at here? I am at the point where I can do a test of the motor and the linkages for throw. So I got to pull this, open this, connect that, put that all back in, and then once that's all done, we'll lay some ballast weights up in the keel and put some foam up in here, although that's got a lot of buoyancy. I don't know how much we're gonna actually need to add in terms of foam. And in the meantime, Virginia is continuing over there. So what do we have going on over here?
So I have, let's get my fingers out of the way from getting this off. There we go. I have installed a mounting bracket for servos. I've gotten the receiver in, I've got the 82 in. So once I test to make sure my servos function, I can start moving on to trying out the wiring, seeing if
connect it all and see if it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are, by the way, even though they're small servos, these are a little higher quality. They're all Metal Gear servos. We've been using them for years. They work really, really good. And the control surfaces, honestly, in Virginia are teeny tiny, little teeny tiny. So don't need to worry too much about that. Yeah, making some progressives. Okay, well, we'll button this up and then head over to UPS. All right, let's revisit this crazy thing here. So there's two servo outputs in the front. One of them was going to presumably be for their tracks, and one was going to be for your forward dive planes. But now we've gone to a waterproof servo, which is a much better, more directish thing without having to direct the linear force. So this is redundant, this sucker right here. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to extract all of this goodness. We'll leave the servo. We'll leave it. That's fine. But we'll repurpose this hole here to run the servo wires out. And we're going to steal from here, wherever those are plugged in, And then we're going to run the servo wires outside and do some pluggy to the servo, and we'll have control of the servo. So I guess we better get started. Okay, I have the cylinders just sitting in place here, and I've got the old servo disconnected. That's why there's loose wires there. Don't give me grief about that. So this is just going to sit for whatever he wants to do, and I'll need to seal all this, but it's connected with a waterproof connector to the front there, and now that I've got this set up in the radio, it's pretty cool. Nice 3-second delay, full extension, full retraction. I like it. I like it. Now, the only thing I don't like, this is all goofy because there's no supporting cylinder in there, so this is all gibbled. This side spins super nice and free, but this side, for whatever reason, is binding. And it's the interface between the two gears that's given me grief. These are noisy as hell, but you know, once you button it up and get it in the water, I don't think that's really going to be an issue. But I got to figure out why this is being bindy. But other than that, everything works really good. We got our rudder situation going on. Forward dive planes, as I mentioned there before. Stern plane override is all set up. I don't think I set up a pitch controller in here yet. I don't know. I suppose I should probably do that. So yeah, everything is working. Now I've just got to figure out this drivetrain thing. Sealy, uppy, mounty, bolty, smoothie outy, and that's it. You know, we should knock this out in the next 10 minutes or so. All right, you guys probably thought I forgot, and you'd probably be right. But I used some tie-down straps to hold the assembly in place. So this is all disassemblable. All this comes out, this all comes out, this comes out, this comes off. The only thing that doesn't is the bulkhead itself. Servo comes out, of course. So I just wanted to let you know I was not sleeping on the job. We just made some little flanges that bolt in. So I think I figured out what my issue was with the gearage situation in the back. I took out the intermediate shaft here, chucked it up in the drill, and there was just this like littlest, tiniest, maybe a 0.5 millimeter wobble in the gear. So what I did, I heated the shaft up, and because these are nylon, obviously they or plastic, they'll melt. But now you'll see it is dead perfect. Oh, that's water from me cooling it down. Not even a wiggle. Throw this back in. Boy, this side is smooth as silk, though. I'll show you in a minute. Give me some time. I'll put this back together again, and then we'll give you a little show and tell. Well, I think I figured out why this was not working so hot on this shaft. This motor has a whole bunch more oomph than this motor. And I thought it was binding, but it's not the case. I separated the gear things, thinking I would have, you know, independent adjustment of the tension on the gears, and even with almost no pressure on there, this motor just cannot spin. And you can see they look like they're spinning at the same time. If I try and stop this one, I can't. But this one, I can stop easily. And I just reset the speed controller. And like if I hold this and give it the goose, it'll fight a little bit, but then once you get enough voltage to it, it'll spin. But this one, it'll just sit there and grind. So I'm going to take a look at these and see if there's a direct replacement for this brushless motor maybe I can get with Ron, or potentially replace those motors with an upgraded brushless motor. I don't know. One more thing to do. So just a reminder, this is the motor scenario that we got going on here. 600 kilovolt brushless motors. And yeah, this one's not working so good. It's the Graupner Speed 600. Well, it's Thursday. Pouring out rain outside, which is good. We need it. Timing's not super awesome. It's fine. Let's talk about this Gato Bleo cylinder situation. So, one thing I noticed when I was doing this yesterday, I used 2 different speed controllers, one for each here. The other one that I had was a little BL Heli, and that was the one powering this guy. So I put in one of these 12 amp bidirectional speed controllers that I had good luck with. I've got all that wired in and ready to test. I went to go test it yesterday and the system would not power on. Now my switch is powering on, but this relay is getting really hot. And the weirdest thing is that it is clicking on and off though. And if I check the power between power lead and the ground wires, there's power. If I check it at the base of the wire, it's got power. But at this point here, which is a straight shot of wire, it doesn't. So I don't know if this wire has a break in it. I've never seen that before. Like an actual wire having a break in it. But at any rate, I don't think I'm going to be able to get away with using this. This is heating up for some reason. They're not supposed to do that. That's not cool. So now I got to swap this switch out. All right. more stories. So replaced the switch. I don't think it was the switch. I think it was me being stupid. I had the leads for the speed controller reversed, which popped the speed controller when I swapped out the wires. So I put a brand new speed controller in there. I'm double checking. The reason this is torn back is I was double checking to make sure the order of these wires was correct. Because when I hooked it up to this motor, it was just going, blah, 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 blah. You know, and before I was telling you this thing had no power. But now that I have it hooked up to this test motor, it works perfectly. So I think, at the end of the day, circling all the way back, it was probably that motor that it was our issue. I'm going to peel this back, hook the leads up again, and just do a double triple check. But if not, I got to order another motor and try and figure out how to get that in there with this all assembled, which is awesome. And on the other side of the table, Logan's cleaning up the inside of Virginia.
Yep, taking out all the flash and the uncured little bits of...
Yeah, which, I mean, you left that intentionally before so that we could just clean it up.
Yep. Yeah, it's all coming along pretty nicely. There's a few spots where some goobers got kind of thick, so I'm going to have to get in there with a knife and pry them out a little bit more carefully, but besides that, it all came out really well.
Awesome. Yeah, and then we're going to button it up and do some sandy sanding. All right, sit rep. Pop the old motor out, and I think I figured out what was wrong. This center lead is pulled out up on the sheath there, exposing the internal wires and shorting it out internally. So maybe when I was, pulling this, it went a little further, but I think that was why this had no juice and it was like stuttery and not working properly. So, oh yeah, well, you can see it's pulled right off there. So that's garbage. Can't get new ones of these. They're out of stock in Germany and nobody here in the US carries them that I can see. So these are exact same diameter. They're a little faster, 880 kilovolts, and they're a slightly thicker shaft diameter. So I got one in though. Fits perfect. All wired in, tested, working perfectly. So I'm just going to do the other one and then bore out the couplers, and then the motor situation should be addressed. So here's the scenario in the back. Everything's fitting, everything is nice. Here's my settings here. I capped the power at 50%, or the speed at 50%, and I gave it an expo curve, so that basically, that basically you got a nice big dead spot in the middle, and then it just ramps up slow, and then as you hit the upper end, it'll vroom. So let's just watch this. Nice slow control, just barely spinning. And this is going to be loud, because gears are loud. There's no two ways about it. That's it. Now we got to put some ballast weights in the bottom to offset all of this buoyancy, which is actually pretty considerable. But I'm going to put some more foam just on the side here. And then I got to figure out how I set up my ballast too. That'd be good to know. And then we'll do some cosmetic stuff with the tower and install our new guns from Di Stefano. And it'll be ready to go. Yeah. In the meantime, Logan is cleaning up the hull. He slathered some Bondo on the outside, and it did stop raining out there, so might be able to bust out the palm sander here a little bit. And then he's just cleaning up the sagging from the printing process, make that all nice and smooth. And he's installing the new stern too, right?
Yep, we got the new impeller system.
Yeah, and I did not glue in the stator in the back, by the way. It's just press fit. So just have to put some glue in there.
Think I have a second?
Yep. All right, as I mentioned, putting some ballast in here. Had some lead sheet and some lead bars. Ideally, you want the center of mass in the middle of your ballast tank. Before I put the weights in, it was very much aft heavy, which makes sense. We got all these shafts and props and linkages and gears and all sorts of fun stuff. So it was the center of mass was about here. I needed it here, so put the weights forward, and now, if I had another hand, I could tell you, or show you, it's right here, which is middle of the cylinder. And the tanks are, of course, equidistant from the center, so that is exactly what we want. Used some, actually, I gotta show you guys this. This is like my new favorite goop. Gorilla Max Strength Construction Adhesive. It comes out real thick, like thicker than toothpaste. Clear, a little flexible, sticks to anything, dries pretty darn fast. This is pretty awesome stuff for gluing down weights, gluing down bulkheads, you know, it's good stuff. Grab some. Weights are in, weights are painted, weights are drying. I got a Velcro hold down strap. I made some brackets on the side. So now the whole thing is just held in with a Velcro, and I could pick the whole boat. I could pick the whole boat up by the cylinder if I were so inclined. So now we just need to install some foam strips on the sides there, and then we're going to set that aside and do some cosmetic-y fun stuff with the with a upper deck and sail there. We got the cylinder in place in here, and just wanted to show you the new upgraded parts in the back. That's the new prop. And that's all 3D printed in ABS, so super tough. And because it was printed this way, all the striations are in line with that, so exceptionally tough. Yeah, you could drive over that and it would not do anything. And here's our new stator that goes after it to correct the thrusta-majiggers. Well, good morning. It is Friday, the day after Halloween. I forgot to wear my Halloween shirt yesterday. We just set Candy out and let all the little munchkins take from the bowl, and they didn't take hardly anything. We went out for dinner instead. It's kind of like a tradition for us in our family. I'm just unpacking some stuff that I got, some apparently linkage ends, and a new butane torch, because Ed broke mine last time he was out here jamming the butane filler into the back of it. It's going to be an interesting day today. I'm going to try and knock out as much as we can here in the shop. But we do need to clean this up. We haven't cleaned the shop in like 3 weeks because we've been so busy. So Logan's going to take point on that. But I need to do the video for you guys. So that's got to get pushed out. And at about noon-ish, I need to take off to the airport, grab the plane and fly it to the other side of Houston, because hoping this guy is going to buy the plane. There's a pre-purchase inspection going to be going on there. So that's cut out like half of my day. It's fine. It's good. It's fine. So while I'm unpacking here and checking out my new butane torch, I'm going to grumble a little bit. You guys remember, I'm sure you do, the 2-for-1 boat special. That was that really cool old school Type 7. Maybe I'll put a picture right over here. And then there was also that really cool old school Ballast. 2 super cool boats. I was excited because a gentleman up in Denton, Texas, which is North Dallas, bought them. Never having done subs before, he thought it'd be a really good opportunity to get his feet wet, haha, so to speak. Unfortunately, UPS decided, in their infinite wisdom, to play football with the crates, specifically of the Type 7. I'm going to share some pictures right here. You guys can see the wonderful job that they did. Apparently, it was hurled from the back of a truck onto the ground, and no amount of packing whatsoever would ever stop damage from being incurred. I mean, it smashed the corner of a wooden crate and crumpled and crushed a solid fiberglass nose of an RC submarine. So, obviously, the customer was quite upset, called me out, said that I did a stupid job packing, and I should have had like custom cut furniture grade 6-inch foam with solid wooden shipping crates and foam inserts and all of this stuff. I've been doing this for 20 years, people. I know what I'm doing. No matter what you do, if UPS gets it in their head that they're going to break it, they're going to break it. I got lots of stories to that effect, including one beautiful Nautilus kit that got driven over by the UPS truck. But at any rate, he basically said, hey, well, you know, despite the fact that this one submarine, the Gato, showed up basically in perfect shape, some little weights got knocked loose, I'm sending everything back. You're gonna give me all my money back. You're gonna eat all of the cost and everything. You didn't supply to me fully functional RTR submarines, even though the Gato was fully functional with some weights knocked loose. If you can't allocate 15 minutes to put the weights back in, you have no business being in this hobby. That's my opinion. He paid for it with PayPal. All he needs to do is make a little clicky, and PayPal's like, oh, you're the buyer? Oh, I'm so sorry. Here's all your money back. And they suck it back out of my account, no matter what. So I'm getting the boats back. He's apparently going to ship them back, and as soon as I get here, I'm going to check them, make sure that they're all still in relatively one piece, and then refund his money, which means the Gato's going to come back up for sale. We'll probably just check it, make sure it's fine, glue the 4 little weights back in place. And then the Type 7 is going to be interesting. I want to take a look at it. The nose is crushed, but the rest of the boat seems to be in really good shape. So maybe we'll do something cool. Do you have an idea? What can we do? Could it be like a raffle or a giveaway or a contest? What can we do with this Type 7? What do you want to see? What would be interesting to you guys? Drop it in the comments below. Let me know what you think. foam installation time. I just kind of take for granted that you guys know what I'm doing here. This is insulation foam, pink insulation foam you get from like Home Depot. It comes in 2x4 handy panels, or you can get the big 4x8 sheets if you think you're going to build a lot of submarines. Cuts really easily with a knife. Make sure you've got sharp blades in here. And I just trimmed the outside to fit the contours of the outside hull. And the idea behind this is that I want to be able to install this next to the cylinder, down about 1/4 of an inch to allow for the lip in the upper hull so that it doesn't interfere with anything. And then I also wanted to have at least a 1/16 of an inch clearance between the foam and the cylinder so that I don't have any problems dropping the cylinder into place. Now with that done, just gonna grab some RTV and glue it to the side. Probably what I'll do, put it in position and then wedge, a little chunk of, maybe I'll just repurpose some of these little styrofoam shards, wedge it in to hold it in place while that cures. And then while that happens, we're gonna push that over, pull this over, and start working on the sail. Let's take a quick look at the sit rep here. We got foamage installed in the boat. That's all curing. And again, notice symmetrical placement of foam about the center axis of the boat. So this is going to create equilateral lift to offset the weight. Now, I have a hunch I'm gonna have to add more weight. That's a lot of buoyancy right there. And this is not an overly heavy hull, but we'll see. It's a place to start. It's a lot easier to add ballast weight than it is to add foam. So I would rather install as much foam as is practical and then add weight after the fact. That's just me. Everybody's got a different way of going about it. The other thing that I'm going to work on right now is this. Now this is the valve for the intake for the ballast system, and you want this as high up as possible. Unfortunately, we have a very high part of the boat right here under the deck. So what we're going to do is figure out what we're going to do. I think the easiest thing is to make a clip, mount this permanently in the top, and then we'll just make a little quick disconnect right here or wherever. Maybe make a longer hose so it's easier to work with. So yeah, we're going to make a little clippy clip that'll clip the clip up in the top of the tower. Hose extension quick connect. Ta-da! Here's our majiggers. I got these from Distafan 3D. He does amazing work for 3D printed stuff for like World War II. Really, really cool. This is what I found for like archer fish and the belayas of a contemporary. You got your deck gun, your Orlican anti-aircraft, and then your Bofors. The problem is this is a Gato tower. And I just mounted the intake for the ballast system in there. In order to convert this to archer fish, which was the Baleo, got to knock all this down, take all this out, cut the tower, and extend this deck forward into this section and build a whole new mast, support structure on the inside. So that is a problem. I'm going to reach out to the customer right now and see what he has to say about the tower. See if he's 100%, 1,000,000% set on archer fish. I know there was an emotional, historical attachment that he had to it. We'll see if we'll do a Gato instead, or if we will fudge a Baleo, maybe just knock this stuff off and then do the double big masty things with the radar and all that stuff. Or if he's going to insist on cutting that all apart, which I really, really hope he doesn't. Super awesome good news! I talked to Joseph, the owner of the boat, and we're gonna do some fudgesicling on this thing. As I mentioned, this is, you know, the old Gato style with the enclosed area here. Baleo is all open, so don't want to cut, don't want to move. You know, we've got a float in there that we don't want to mess around with, because we want that as high as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to do fudgy pretendy. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this a dark color to mimic the cutout, and then we're going to put the propper from this point up, you know, periscope sheaths and mast things that stick out to make it look really cool. I agree with him, you know, and the reason is, you know, this is an early angle boat. It's not perfect. You know, if you're a rivet counter, you're not going to get a 30-year-old angle hull. You know, you're going to want something super accurate. So this is going to look 90% the part, and once I get it painted up, it is going to look badass. I'm super excited. So what I'm going to do now, finish cleaning this up, make this nice and smooth and everything, and then I got to wait for Greg, who's going to be here in a minute with my new base for the Nautilus over there, and I'll be able to finish filming the last of the Nautilus video, which was all focused on painting and finalization. And Jason's going to be here in a little bit to pick up another cylinder that somebody wants fixed. And then I'll be drafting in 3D the new masticles. Well, this is my finished Nautilus. Greg just brought over the hardwood stand there. It looks beautiful, beautiful. Like I said before, I mean, this is pretty badass. You can turn all the lights on and off individually, get those attack lights going, and of course, got a little propeller going in the back there. That's how I like it. We're gonna get this thing packed up, show the customer his new boat, and get it off the work queue. Well, I think with that, we're gonna leave this video off, because the rest of the day is gonna be spent on boring 3D drafting kind of stuff, working on this video, finishing up the Nautilus video. It's stuff that you don't want to see. I don't want to do it, and you don't want to see it, so we're not even going to include it here. I'm excited to finish this thing. Now, note, I am away all next week, and so is Logan, because we are going to be flying up to Washington State to hook up with Jason and grab a whole fleet of RC Submarine awesomeness. We're going to be bringing that back with us, driving all the way from Washington State back to Texas. We're going to be stopping in Colorado on the way to pick up another super cool boat. So our video next week will be highlighting that trip and all the cool stuff that we have there. So stay tuned for that, but don't expect a lot of work to get done here, because the elves, they're on strike. Little buggers. With that, I'm going to let you go. You have an awesome rest of your day. Hey, if you like what you see here, like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Questions, comments, drop them down below. Love to hear from you. Email me anytime, Bob@Nautilus Dry Docks. And with that, on behalf of myself, Bob Martin, the RC Sub Guy, you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time.